Hey, welcome to another episode of Asking for a Friend. This week we have Julie Kuhlmann from Coldwell banker Tomlinson. Let's start by telling the people about you and your business.
Okay. Hello, I'm Julie Kuhlmann. So my background starts from a home builder that I worked with in Seattle back in 1992. I was hired actually as a receptionist for a temporary position, but then they found out I had a background in marketing and advertising, so they moved me into that department. And so there I got to create all kinds of materials and advertising plans for all of the different subdivisions for this builder. I got to go and visit the different neighborhoods and talk to the agents on site about what they needed, because each neighborhood had different characteristics and different amenities, so we got to focus on that. And that's really where I caught the bug for real estate. So since moving to Spokane with my husband in 2001, decided to leave all the traffic. There was one incident that talked me into going because my husband had been on me forever, and that's for another day. Really great story though, so you can ask me about that off camera. But so started real estate when we got to Spokane, started our family, always had this fun little game coming over from Seattle where we'd pull up to a home and we'd guess the price, then we'd look at the flyer, and we would be about $100,000 off in our pricing. So kind of caught the bug for Spokane with the real estate prices, less traffic, start our family. And so from there, I got my license to sell in Washington in December 2003, and then my Idaho license in 2007.
Awesome. So you've been through all sorts of different kinds of markets.
Yes, the good, the bad, and the very ugly, but persevered.
Yeah, perfect.
Right, still here.
So is there a neighborhood that you seem to gravitate towards or seem to do a lot of business in?
Well, because I am a border dweller, I live in Liberty Lake, I, of course, tend to gravitate towards those neighborhoods and cities that are closer to me: Liberty Lake, Spokane Valley, Post Falls, Coeur d'Alene. But not to say that I haven't gone as far north as Kettle Falls. I've gone out to Kellogg, I've gone up to Athol, down to Worley, over to Davenport. So I'm all over the map. I think part of the reason I don't mind the areas that are further away from home is just because growing up with, again, the Seattle traffic, long drives aren't a big deal to me. So
Yeah, and I would assume it's getting a little bit easier with technology too.
oh, it is for
do
sure.
real estate.
You know, back when I started, we'd have to drive up to a home and meet in person with our clients to sign documents and, you know, go out and fax somewhere. But yeah, with everything electronically, it does make it a lot easier. It goes a lot smoother.
So I think, or clients that I've been working with, I think because the market's changed, I think they struggle kind of creating a needs list, because like your needs list has to be kind of tied down, because like you're not going to get everything now because everything's a little bit overpriced. So let's start with like beds and baths. What are some strategies for determining the number of beds and bath or those kind of things when creating your needs list?
Well, you know, you can look at your bedrooms and bathrooms, and usually that fluctuates depending on the buyer needs. One thing that I do point out is the layout of the bedrooms and bathrooms. So you want to look at resale. So if you're getting a rancher with a full basement and the master is on the main floor and all the rest of the bedrooms are on the lower floor, you are eliminating some buyers, just because, let's say you get a family and a parent or parents with very young children wanting all the rooms on the same floor, you've already eliminated that pool of buyers. So something to keep in mind is the layout of the home.
Yeah, that's a good point, that you know, when you buy a home, you're not necessarily thinking about like that you're going to sell it eventually, but everyone's going to sell that home. So really good point. So what are some of the things that people, when they create these lists, that they put on their list that are more expensive than they might think?
A lot of times it comes down to the age of the furnace. I want a newer furnace, I want a new roof, maybe some higher end appliances. So those are just costs that a lot of buyers don't realize could get to be considerably high depending on what features they're looking for in it. And then another thing that I see a lot is that when buyers are purchasing a new construction home, they're not thinking about the additional costs like window coverings or even landscaping and fencing. And then when it gets to that, you have to think about what do the covenants say? Do the covenants say I have to have all my landscaping in within a year? So you have to look at when that cost will arise as well.
With some of those higher end finishes or cosmetic things that are in homes. A lot, I would assume those go on a lot of needs / wants lists. How should they be on those lists?
The cosmetic finishes could definitely be on the list. Just depending on where the budget is and what they are wanting to have, it may or may not fit their budget. So a lot of times we find a buyer has champagne taste on a beer budget. And over time, when we're looking at the homes and they're seeing the values, if they're not quite getting everything that they want, over time they'll eventually say, okay, well, I can upgrade that later, or they'll just eliminate it off their list, or at times they'll just adjust their budget and come in with their budget being a little bit higher so that they can accommodate all of those things.
So what are some of the things that people seem to forget about?
They need to take into consideration maintenance. What in this home in particular is going to require a little additional maintenance. Mainly what's been coming up lately is sewer lines, north end and south end. At one point, some of them were constructed with what's called Orangeburg, which has reached their maximum lifespan. So they're starting to ovalize, they're starting to collapse. So one thing really important during an inspection is send a camera down there, see what kind of condition those lines are in. If they're still okay, there are less expensive options in maintaining it versus if it's already collapsed. There's times where the sewer line might be fine, but once a year you have to go through and root it out and get all the tree roots out of there so everything continues to flow like it's supposed to flow. So that's one thing that a lot of buyers forget about is the older homes like that, they need a little bit more maintenance in that sense.
Yeah, that's a great point. We actually, at our home, our previous home, we had to replace the sewer line 1 year into the deal. So I try to tell all my clients, and obviously it sounds like you do too, that sewer is separate from the inspection, correct?
It is. It's separate from your general inspection. It's an additional fee, but it's the best $100 that a buyer will ever spend if there's a problem with it.
Yeah, because homeowners insurance doesn't cover it, and it isn't cheap.
And the warranty doesn't either.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously, people like right now they may be buying in winter, or you buy in summer. How important is it to think about a different season when you're looking at a home?
Well, the main season, as we know now, is winter and snow removal on the roads and, depending on your driveway, how long it is, if there's switchbacks, if you're climbing, maintenance of that. So you want to look at, are you on a public road? Are you on a county road that's maintained? Are you on a bus route? Chances are it's going to be maintained if you are. You want to look at if you're purchasing something on a private road. Do all the homeowners collectively take care of snow removal? Are you on your own? And then a lot of neighborhoods with the HOAs, whether or not snow removal is included. You also want to think about when you're buying a second home, if you want access year round. A lot of times if you want to come and visit your, let's say you have a waterfront home in the winter, you want to go on Christmas because it's pretty. Then you'll want to make sure that you're still able to access it. So access to the property because of the snow removal, I would say, is the main seasonal thing you want to take a look at.
All these things that I never think about. That's why you get paid the big bucks to sell the houses. So we always ask, what is your favorite place to grab something to eat in Spokane or Coeur d'Alene for you? Because you're kind of obviously a border dweller.
Right, I am. So my husband and I, we always like to visit restaurants that have kind of an eclectic menu. So a lot of times we'll head over to Crafted over in Coeur d'Alene. We'll go to Timber in Post Falls, and then we'll also visit. I've recently discovered my husband has not had the pleasure yet of trying Craft and Gather in Spokane Valley.
Okay.
And they have this amazing bacon popcorn.
Wow, that sounds delicious.
I have been trying to perfect it at home. My family's not unhappy that I'm making a lot of bacon so that I can get the bacon grease to cook the popcorn in.
Sounds good.
Yeah, it's really, really good. I highly recommend it.
Thanks for joining us today. Let's make sure we tell the people where they can find you, those border dwellers that need some help with real estate.
Okay, so I can pretty much be found anywhere. My website is SpokaneHomegirl.com. You can also find me on Zillow, which has testimonials and my sales background there as well. And then you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. And then, of course, you can call me or text me, 509-216-1182. And then, of course, don't forget I'm licensed in Washington and Idaho.
Awesome.